good seeing you guys. It's great to be back here in Florida. My third go-around down here, so I'm excited to be here working with all of you here in Tallahassee.
Hey Mark, Andrew Carter with the Orlando Sentinel. What drew you to this job, and kind of take us through the process of what landed you at Florida State?
Well, I think the tradition, the tradition of Florida State, and, all the great years and what they've done. First of all, I had the opportunity to come up here and play a few times, and at least one time I can remember. I normally forget a few of them, but I came up here when I was at Miami and had a chance to play Florida State. The great tradition, the great players, the great atmosphere, and the opportunity to work with Coach Fisher. That's what drew me to the job.
Ira Sheffield, the Democrat. Obviously, everyone's aware of the struggles Florida State had defensively last year. But on signing day, Jimbo made some comments about, we've got some guys, we've got some playmakers, we've got some. How familiar have you gotten with that, and what were you told, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not as familiar as I'd like to be at this point, just because, as you all know, due to NCAA rules, I'm not allowed to work with them quite, enough yet. We get out there, we're watching them run around, watching them go through winter workouts. I'm impressed with their enthusiasm. I see some athletic ability out there. It's unfair for me to comment on their athletic ability yet as far as on the football field.
One on topic, could you talk about when will you, I'm not familiar with the rules about is spring practice the first day they're going to learn the playbook, or how much can they do?
That's the first time I'm going to be able, we will be able to, as a coaching staff, take them through drills, coach them, put them through workouts as far as X's and O's. We're out there working with them right now in their strength and conditioning, and out there running and change of direction and all those things. So, like I said, they look good. They have great attitude. Good group of young men to work with. So I'm excited about it.
Gene Williams with WarChant.com, Coach. You don't really know any of the other assistant coaches on the defensive side of the ball coming in, specifically like Greg Hudson. You guys have to work together a lot. How is that chemistry you see forming here for getting to know a few?
It's been fantastic. It's a good question. I think it starts with a great group of guys to work with. We have an awful lot to do. There's an awful lot of work to be done on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think there's any question about that. So, the chemistry has to be there, and there has to be knowledge. So I'm very encouraged. Appreciate all the hard work, and it's a great group of guys to work with. And Greg, of course, singling him out, he's had a lot of responsibility. He's been a coordinator. Very similar in the approach that we had in defensive philosophy, and it's been a great match so far. So excited about working with Greg and the other coaches, of course. With Odell, Coach Higgins being Mr. FSU. What a phenomenal person, class act, tremendous worker, great knowledge, and excited to work with Odell. And DJ Elliott is the one guy that I did have some knowledge with him. And Coach Elliott had worked with me in a couple stops, and I knew what he was all about. I knew the work ethic that he had and the knowledge of our system. So it helps. A very bright, up-and-coming coach is going to be a tremendous asset to us. So all in all, it's a tremendous staff. I feel very blessed to be able to work with these guys every day.
Coach Lane Hurt from Seminoles.com. Can you talk a little bit about your philosophy for the defensive unit?
Our philosophy for
defense,
we're going to be a 4-3. We're on base out of the 4-3. So we'll have 4-3 personnel. We'll be very multiple. I think the biggest change that you'll see is there'll be a difference in some zone coverages. We'll be more multiple on the back end, and we'll play some man and some zone, but we'll mix it up and just be much more multiple as far as our zone coverages are concerned. We'll attack. But an interesting point that I talk about, and again, we don't worry a whole lot about stats or things, but just coming from the Pac-10, Arizona, we led the conference in sacks. And I wouldn't say we're an overly aggressive, blitzing, out of control defense. I think we're very precise. We try to be very accurate in what we try to do and how we get it taught. But I think we get sacks and things like that from covering people and making the quarterback eat it a little bit as opposed to all-out blitzing and getting some pressure that way. So we want to cover people, be very sound, and be very precise in our run fits, and then we want to take our shots and get after the quarterback when we can. And obviously we want to be very multiple in our coverage.
How did you build your defensive philosophy? Obviously, you come from a family of guys who know defense pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say it started a long time ago when I was in Florida for the first time. Of course, my history, I go back to Iowa, played defensive back at Iowa, and had the opportunity to start my coaching career under Hayden Fry, who was a tremendous person to be around. But as I went through the coaching, it really started when I went to South Florida and worked down there with Jim Levitt, and my brother Bob was up in Florida at the time. So my first year at South Florida, we weren't even playing any games. So I had the opportunity to go up to Florida, spend a bunch of time with Bob, and just kind of, I think the bread and butter of my system was built during that first year there at South Florida. Then, of course, the past 6 years, it's been great for me to work with my brother Mike, and all the knowledge that he's had, and obviously take it and learn the core of our defense from my family. And then, we always are often running, tweaking things and building it as we go.
Right. How difficult was it to leave your brother's staff?
It wasn't easy. I put a lot of heart and soul into that program. I feel very good about where I left it, and where we came in. It was a very, very difficult situation. One of the worst in college football, if you weren't real familiar with it, but very, very tough situation. So didn't happen as fast as we'd like, but very pleased with where the program is right now. Very good group of young men, very competitive just about every game we've been in. So.
Coach, you plan to be in the booth during the games, or are you on the sideline?
We're working through that right now. I'll probably be on the sidelines, I'd say. I just want to be able to look those guys right in the eye and be able to make adjustments and communicate with them directly, I think, during the first year or so.
Would DJ be your eyes in the sky then? He'd be up in the booth?
Yeah, we're going to talk about it some more, but probably Coach Hudson and DJ and myself and Odell being on the sideline.
What was it like Corey Clark with the Carolina that month when you came in and got to recruit? I assume recruiting for Florida State is different than recruiting for Arizona.
Yeah.
Just kind of talk about the advantages that come with that, and I know you've been in Florida before, but what that month was like.
Yeah, that month, from what I can remember, very active first month. Really from the last game of the year with USC. I talked to Coach Fisher the following day after our last game. I believe it was December 5th. I came in here on the following day, talked to Coach Fisher, and went through that process. But when I got here, I believe it was on January 2nd, my first staff meeting, I think we flew out on the first flight out very early out of Tucson. By the time I got here, I was late for my first meeting, and everybody was in there, and the new staff was put together and going through the film. And the first thing that was very encouraging was the type of athlete that this staff was on. And got to look at some film and see the guys that we were recruiting, and obviously got very excited because they were an impressive group, and just the energy. Coach Fisher, he's amazing, really. He's very excited about working with Coach Fisher. He's full of energy. It's very, it's directed in the right places. He enjoys recruiting, which is going to help all of us, and does a tremendous job at that. So I think what I noticed right away was the talent, and I noticed the energy and the commitment from the staff that was here, humping it to sign a great class.
Now, did you watch